There could be 10 more people in my community doing what I'm doing, and I just haven't been able to really find those people who are passionate enough and determined enough and have that drive to do the same thing.
There's a lot of room for research and education on regenerative practices on these broad acre landscapes. And there's so many broad acre landscapes that are underutilized, that basically the barns are falling down and the homes are abandoned and the people have left the rural areas and not necessarily on their own choosing. And so now it's time for us to bring that back, and I would really like to partner with other folks that are working to educate and outreach, both at the policy level, at the agency level, to large private landowners, large public landowners, so that these practices can become more accepted and widely accepted, because I feel like I run into a lot of barriers, and we're always kind of skirting the edge with going against the grain and against the norm of sort of the status quo of ranching practices.
I'm working with a campus right now, Santa Barbara City College, which they're really exploring that and seeing about the using permaculture strategies to make landscapes that are low maintenance, that require lower fertilizers, that require less water use, and that can save a lot of money, I think, going forward. And there's not enough research, I don't think, being done on that, but I think it's a huge leverage point, and going forward that could be really the place where a lot of people start doing that research and figuring out ways to explore that angle of going into academia and saving money.
While we have leaders in the permaculture field, I feel like more effective leaders would be good. And leaders not in the sense of I'm the leader because I know the most, but leaders who are in leadership positions because they know how to manage people and they know how to deal with social situations, and at the same time they can back that up with content understanding. I think that's a huge, huge piece of it, because you can be super smart and be a total permaculture genius and not be able to do some of the fairly basic things that we need to do in terms of getting permaculture to expand. And realistically, a big part of what I'm interested in is expanding permaculture into the mainstream, because if it remains a fringe thing, it's just not going to be meaningful in the long run.
People were asking me for IT advice. I'm like, that's not what I'm interested in. This is the stuff I'm doing here. Don't talk to me about this. But very soon I found out, and also working with farmers directly, a lot of woofing, is that the farmers rather have me, instead of take those tangelos or those whatever from the trees, they'd rather have me sitting in their office doing the direct marketing for them, building up the system that allows them to run their business, building their customer base. So eventually I just had to bite the bullet and say, all right, somebody's got to do this. It looks like it's going to be me.
Some sort of networking tool for landowners and younger people to connect, because that is definitely a huge opportunity. There's a lot of people who own land and would be really enthusiastic about having young people come out there and make their dreams happen. And I think there's a lot more people out there than we realize who would be willing to make that sort of partnership.
There's no real permaculture nursery in the Rocky Mountain bioregion, so I know that's something that a lot of other parts of the country and parts of the continent have started to get. But we still need one in the Rocky Mountains. I think there's a great need for a materials aggregator. So, we have all these urban homesteaders in Denver. That's like the new hip thing to do, is have chickens and grow food in your yard, and all that stuff is awesome, and we want to help people do that. But if every person trying to do that has to drive out, half an hour into the country to pick up a few straw bales and have to get compost from here and there, and horse manure and reclaimed concrete or urbanite for their projects, it's not efficient. It's a waste of gas. And they may or may not be able to find it. So having a business that rents cheap warehouse space, has a couple forklifts, a couple big pickups and trailers, and gets all that stuff for really cheap wholesale, brings it in central to town, so that all of the urban gardeners can get it really easily. I think that's a great business just waiting to happen. Another business idea, kind of getting away from just the food production and really looking at all these different petals of the permaculture flower, is natural building and appropriate technology. You know, in Denver we have all kinds of great opportunities for things like rocket mass heaters, for things like cob ovens, for things like straw bale greenhouses. Again, there's a huge market there who I think if the services were there and promoted correctly, lots and lots of clients would be lining up to buy it. But we just need to get those right structures in place so that we can make it happen.
Small businesses have tremendous opportunities just to earn a little extra money, kind of to get your start. Selling eggs to neighbors. We give away our eggs to our neighbors, and they try to pay us for them. And I'd say if you want to start an egg business, you know, start doing little 6-packs of eggs, give eggs away a few times, and I guarantee you're going to have those neighbors come back to you and say they want to buy eggs. Seeds, there's a tremendous opportunity in seeds if you get into regional breeding, developing specific strains. If I was going to try to do that, I might do something like plant a particular early variety of corn, but plant it 2 weeks earlier than I'm supposed to, and let whatever dies. And whatever survives, I'm going to save that. I'm going to plant that again in another season. You do that for a season or two, you end up with an early variety of corn that can go in the ground a week or two earlier than everything else around you. Now that is a very, very valuable commodity to people that want to grow corn in your area. I'm not saying to go into corn business, I'm just using it as an example.
I think that there's opportunities. I feel like there's going to be opportunities in 10 years with urban lumber. I think there'll be more opportunities about harvesting the wood as things become more streamlined. I also think there'll be more opportunities to do consulting work on that. I think there'll be opportunities to actually have tree planting crews where people are planting and pruning trees and you know, creating urban lumber for the future.
We always have to buy things like compost and soil mix and that sort of stuff for a nursery business because we can't generate enough on our own. And we are working on doing that. But there's pretty much, I think, in every municipality there's going to be a need for some sort of compost operation. In our area in particular, we have invasive weed management issues and concerns, and if you're able to provide a service like a mobile goat herd that's able to come along and manage people's invasive weeds, that would be a business that I think could be very successful because it's a problem that's already having a lot of money spent on it. So that's one thing, and that also has mobile infrastructure, so you're not tied down too much to being in one place or just having one customer base. There's lots of opportunities for arborists, I think. That market is relatively saturated, but I think there's more opportunities to specialize, in particular partnering with local furniture makers and woodworkers, and how do we cultivate an urban forest that's managed to direct products into the local resource base.
There's tons of opportunities in the food industry. If you're a farmer and you're open and excited about growing organic food on permaculture principles, I think people are extremely receptive to that. And there's I believe, opportunities in distributing directly to people. There's, in our area, tons of vegetable farms, but there's not really anybody doing meat. And also in northern climates, I mean, it's one thing to have vegetables in the summer, but how could we build a system that distributes food all year round?
I think education is got a lot of really great products in it, but it's an underserved market because everybody's selling generalist information, PDCs, earthworks courses, soil courses, things like this. I think if I was going to go into this as a consultant and I wanted to make education one of my revenue streams, I would start developing educational programs specific to my region, and I would focus on my neighborhood and the surrounding neighborhoods. I would focus on teaching people how to design systems and put the plants in that will do well in our neighborhood or wherever I'm at least at the state level.
There are an awful lot of groups out there, like not-for-profit environmental groups and advocacy groups that do restoration projects. And if you want to get experience, seek out those groups and show up and volunteer, and you can get a lot of hands-on experience. I mean, that's really how I got a lot of my practical knowledge as a contractor is I started showing up at volunteer workshops, and I eventually ended up running them. So I think that's an opportunity, and that sort of thing is going on everywhere. And plus, it's a lot of fun. It's a great way to meet people and network, and and it's a little less abstract than saying, "Hey, I want to do the work." You're actually there doing the work, and you have an opportunity to prove yourself. So I would say that is a huge opportunity for people to seek out.
For young people to get into this, the first thing I would say is to get an internship with someone, and then after that, try to manage someone else's ranch on their dime, and then after that, start building. Start saving money. One of the things that we did in this drought, because we were stretched so thin, was we got a Kiva Zip loan, and it's a 0% crowdfunding loan, and that enabled us to develop our gravity-fed windmill water system to our multiple paddocks for our management intensive grazing. So without that Kiva Zip loan, it would have been high interest credit cards, or one thing you want to be careful is don't get yourself into credit card debt, because you can't you can't pay off a high interest loan on a farming income.
There's so many opportunities there. I would say, as a rule of thumb, if you want to get a job or you want to start a business, you got to figure out an area where you can help. So figure out somebody whose product or service you think is incredible. Maybe you know them personally, but you see an opportunity for them to do better at marketing, to do better at telling their story and engage their client, and step in to fill that role as the storyteller. By doing that and really identifying how you can provide a service to others, you'll be much more valued.
If I had a few things to offer, one would be, chances are you have a range of skills already, and find ways to adapt and apply those to this sort of different permaculture perspective. For me, I learned a lot in school about drawing, visualization, and design process, and was able to fold that into the permaculture field really easily. It took a while to learn and build the style and the connections and the process, but those skill sets and many other skill sets can feed into this this ethic and this design process really easily. So analyze what you already have and find ways to incorporate that into this sort of a different cultural perspective.
Go to the farmer's market and see what people are selling. See if there are things that aren't being provided for that you could supply. So it's all really about the region you're in. It's really hard to comment on, because some places have a saturation of some products and some have a scarcity of them. So you really have to look at your own individual local area to see what's needed.
Find your audience, find a very close audience, describe them, and then ask how you can help them. And you will find a business model.
There are so many opportunities, it's literally incomprehensible to say, well, where should I start? I think what people really should do with permaculture is find the aspects of it that you really love and practice it, do it, and out of that you will find a revenue model. You will find an opportunity. You will find a market.